Last episode we left off with getting what ended up being a 2.8 liter out of the S10. I then drove to Portland and picked up a Turbo 350 with a high stall converter, recent rebuild, and a shift kit in it. And we went back home and started working on getting the 350 into the S10. We'll pick it up off there.
Alright, it's a huge update on the S10. As you can see, the 350 is in it, just the short block. Heads are still at the machine shop, getting decked and gone over. What you don't know is back there, if you can see it, it's a different transmission than was in the truck. It's a Turbo 350 with a high stall converter, about 2200 RPM. It's got a shift kit in it. Not exactly sure which one, but some sort of shift kit. Anyway, what I didn't know when I bought the truck was it actually had a 2.8 in it, not the 4.3 that I was told it had in it. So what that caused is the 700R4 that came out of the truck that I was going to use didn't work, because it has a difference. It's got a 60-degree bell housing instead of the 90-degree that the small blocks use. The 2.8 was sitting over there. It's gone. Stripped the accessories off and sold it to a guy. So I got some money back in the swap. Picked the Turbo 350 up for a great deal from a guy up in Portland. And it was recently rebuilt. Low miles. Got an aftermarket pan on it. Like I said, a shift kit. Came with a high stall converter. It's non-lockup. I don't think a lot of the Turbo 350s have lockup. So the Turbo 350 will actually work out better because it'll give us a higher cruising RPM. So we can go with a little bit bigger cam, which will be nice. So anyway, unfortunately I didn't really get much info on getting the engine in there. I was against a time crunch to get the engine off of my buddy's hoist so that I could load up the 2.8 for the guy tonight. But what I did was I taped the deck off of the block. I bought one of these off of eBay. I think it was only like 40 bucks, the load leveler, and it worked great with the transmission on. I just used it all the way back pretty much. Transmission was pretty easy to install. Bolted it into the head again over the blue tape to keep from damaging anything. Just went down to the hardware store, got some head bolts, or the same thread as the head bolts. And then I also picked up a new 3/8 coarse tap, or thread chaser. So I chased the threads of the engine mounts and put on the new aftermarket ones for the S10. I've got them in the full slid forward position. I originally had them about in the middle, and it just wasn't going to work. They're going to have to be slid completely forward for the transmission to work. This isn't, again, it's not the perfect transmission for this swap, but it's pretty much as good as you can get without going to a 700R4, which I didn't want to go to again. So it's a really close fit, but it works with the engine mounts all the way forward. As you can see, they're all the way forward. It'll be really hard to see, but down in there you can see where the paint's missing off the block. My camera focus. On the fuel injected or the throttle body injected, like this one is, blocks, there is a knock sensor there. I think that the ports there on most of the 350s are small blocks, but on the fuel injected ones there's a knock sensor there that's in the way. I didn't know exactly what it was. I googled it and found it was a knock sensor, so I removed that. I'm gonna just put a plug in there. Hopefully I won't have to pull the engine back out to do it. But we'll see, I guess. I think at the most I would just have to jack it up and be able to get in there. So it went in fairly easy. Once we had it sitting in the truck, it was about 10 minutes of fiddling around with bars and just jacking the back of the transmission up, and it dropped right into place. I used the bottom motor mount holes. The top ones would be really difficult to get it to clear. Not necessarily impossible, but I'm not really concerned about an inch. It's not going to be a super good handling build, so I'm not super concerned about that. As far as the bell housing clearing, I couldn't find a lot of info on this. It clears pretty well. It wasn't a lot of difficulty. I hammered in, folded over the pinch weld there. You can see the pinch weld is right there, and then how it's kind of flush there. Just took about 30 seconds with a hammer and folded that pinch weld over, and it clears with room to spare. No problem at all there. So that's pretty sweet. Overall, like I said, it really wasn't that bad. The Turbo 350 9-inch tail housing fits pretty well. The 6-inch actually might have fit. It's obviously it's 3 inches shorter, but I could have slid that all the way back, and then there would have still been room in the slip yoke, at least on the single cab long bed. I was told, at least with the regular cab short bed, that you have to use the 9-inch housing. So this one might have been okay with the 6-inch, but either way I went with the 9, and if I need to get the drive shaft shortened a little bit, I can, but I think it looks like it'll be fine. The engagement is perfect. So what's left? Still waiting on the heads from the machine shop, like I said. Waiting on headers. I got a guy that I'm getting them from. And then I need to drop the pan. I've got it partly unbolted. I'll do the rest tomorrow. I need to drop the pan, put the timing cover on. The way I'm going to do it is we'll put the heads on, the Vortec 4-barrel manifold on, and get it all plumbed and wired up except for the cooling system on the front. It'll have no front accessories, so no alternator or water pump on there. It'll just be the timing cover and the harmonic balancer, and we'll fire it up. I mean, as soon as it lights off and I rev it, once or twice, then it'll get shut off, and we'll pull the manifold back off and the balancer and the timing cover, and we'll pull the cam out, and we'll put our new Howard's cam in. But with it being a hydraulic flat tappet and changing the fuel system and everything, I don't want to risk, having to crank it for 10 or 15 minutes and it just wipe the cam out. So I'm going to get it running with the cam that's in there. If for some reason, the cam obviously is already broken in because it's the factory cam, but if it wipes it out, I don't care. It's probably getting thrown in the bed anyway. So yeah, like I said, it went really well. Need to drop the pan. Haven't figured out what carb I'm going to go with yet. I don't think I'm going to try and run it off the throttle body injection. I think I'll just buy a fuel regulator and do that, and I'll thin out the wiring in the back. I'm not going to run air conditioning. I was thinking that I was planning on running air conditioning because the truck already had it, and it will bolt up to this block. But it's an R12 system. I don't want to deal with converting it. It's not that important to me. So I'd like to delete all of the cooling stuff. Being in Oregon, it is really cold in the wintertime. Not that this truck could get driven a whole lot. I'm going to keep the heat. There's plenty of room in here. I mean, you could leave the air conditioning, no problem. But I'm going to delete that, and I'll just sell it as a kit with the pump to whoever needs it. Yeah, it's cruising right along. I've still got a couple things I need to order. I need to order the line lock. I need to figure out what I'm doing with ignition. I'm going to go with probably an MSD HEI distributor, and then probably some sort of ignition box. I want to have a two-step, that way we can launch the car a little bit better since it won't have a trans brake. I want to launch the truck a little bit better. As far as wheels and tires, I'll order those from work at some point. I want to get it running first. That's my first step is, I'm kind of doing it in stages. The last stage was to get the engine into the truck, and now the next stage will be get it running. Then it'll be swapping the cam in, and then once it's driving and everything, I'll deal with the serious lack of traction I'm sure it will have, because the tires in the back are like 205s and they are bald. So we'll go to like some 305s or 315s or something with some meat on it, something real sticky like Toyos, R888s, or something stupid. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm kind of just working through everything as I find it. I did see one question. I am keeping power steering on the truck. I'm just going to use the existing pump and gearbox. Couldn't think of the name. And yeah, I'm going to leave the timing chain that's on there for now, but I've got a new double roller set over there on the bench, as well as a new water pump, cam, like I said, lifters, rocker arms. It's ready to go. So